Hey everyone, and welcome to this very special episode of the Getting Back Up podcast with me, Anthony Ogogo. And it's with a very heavy heart I have to announce that former podcast guest Stella Raphael Reeves, she lost her battle with cancer and very sadly passed away last month. Even though it hurts to say that, even though it's been 3 or 4 weeks now. Stella was a wonderful lady, and if you listened to her podcast last month, you'd have just heard just what a firecracker she was, what an amazing and inspiring person she really was, and how many lessons she's left us with. So with that one, I've reached out to the team, and rather than doing a new episode today, I've packaged up Stella's episode into a special short condensed version. I've highlighted some of her most really hard-hitting, powerful and inspiring points from her last podcast. I think you're going to love this one. I really do. And if you haven't listened to the Stella episode, you're going to really enjoy this one, and you're going to hear what a wonderful lady she was, and she's left a massive hole in the hearts of so many people. However, saying that, there's so much inspiration and positivity in this episode. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Ego. Talk to me about ego, because I've been doing this podcast for a while now. I've never heard anybody mention their ego before, and I say that I talk to a lot of boxers, footballers, sportsmen, sportswomen, business people that have achieved great things. We've all got egos, and nobody's ever mentioned it prior to you. So let's talk about this ego thing.
I think it came to light. I've opened a small sauna business. I invested £9,500 in a horse box, got it converted, got a friend to manage it for me, and we were being interviewed by Suffolk Radio. And the presenter said to me, "Who is Stella Raphael Reeves?" And I went, "I'm the Vice Principal for Higher Education and Business Partnerships at the largest college group in London." And he stepped in and went, "Oh, I thought you were a yoga instructor." And I just stepped back and thought, oh my God, is that who people think I am? And why does it bother me that people think I'm just a yoga instructor? And when I went to see the CEO of the company, to officially, he knew I was leaving, but to talk about why I was leaving, I talked to him and said, look, in 35 years you've been in the business, what happens when you retire? And this name, this, this label that we work so hard to get on the front of our offices or to define who we are is our ego. And I think that really struck me quite deeply. And when you suddenly give up a job and you haven't got that title anymore, you lose that part of you. I'm 60 this year, and I've always...
You're 60 this year?
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Boho white party on the beach. Everyone's got to dress in white. Yeah, we're having a big shindig on the...
Am I invited?
You are welcome
Thank you.
to travel over to see us on Pakefield Beach, of all places.
You look fab, by the way, Stella. You look fantastic.
So, yeah, another big thing with ego is I always had half Greek, so I had long, dark, black, curly hair that was always wonderful and wild. And then only 2 months ago, I lost all my hair. And losing your hair is like losing your identity.
Just quickly, I just want to concur with what you've now said. Hope you don't mind, but I've taken your number. That if those watching on YouTube right now, your long, beautiful, dark hair you talk about, that is stunning.
And now, obviously, I've got a collection of wigs, which is also quite interesting because I can shape shift every day into something else. I've got my pink one on today. I might wear a long red one. I just move around. But that is also a big thing, especially for a woman. And losing your hair, again, is a massive identity. And even losing your eyelashes when you've got thick, strong eyelashes and suddenly you haven't got any. So, all these things that we take for granted, and you lose because of where I'm at, it becomes, it knocks at your ego slightly. And I think that's been a bit of a journey the last few months, but I'm getting over that.
I can concur. I've got, as you know, I've got 3,000 nephews and nieces. That's what it feels like when I go back to the family home and see all the kids. And one of them said, my beautiful little niece said to me a couple of years ago, she went, "You're not a famous boxer anymore." Right?
Oh, ouch.
Right, and she was like 7. She didn't really understand what she was saying, but I guess at school she's gone in, she was bragging about me, and obviously retired like soon before, and somebody must have said, "He's not a famous boxer anymore," and she came home and said that to me. Oof.
Yeah.
The body blow, the ego, the den. And I'm really stuck for words, and that comment hit me like a ton of bricks. And so I get it, and having to like find your identity again, like you said, you wrapped yours up in a beautiful woman with a career woman. Mine was as a boxer, and I had to kind of shed that. How hard was it to do? How hard was it to let go? And you only said 2 months ago. Like, are you still clinging on to it, or have you been okay to let it go?
No, I'm not. I've let that go.
You have so quickly.
As a woman in my own right, I've accomplished so much in this 59 years. If I was to die tomorrow, I think I've most probably done more than most people have done. And like my sister said, there is no one that's not accomplished as much as you have. I've not been a pro athlete. I swam for England as a young girl, but I've not been a pro athlete or achieved great recognition, MBEs, etc. But I have achieved lots of things. I think one of the things I could walk away with today is knowing that I've impacted many people's lives in some of the things that I've done within that time. And, you know, I just want to say something. I thought you were going to mention there was a video of you at Christmas running with your niece and nephews, and you ran to the beach, and you like were right on the front, and then you suddenly stopped. And I thought, no, that must have hit his ego slightly when his 10-year-old nephew is running fast.
Oi, Stella, oi. This is my podcast. I'll be the one telling the stories. So some context for that. I was racing with my nephews and nieces over Christmas on the beach on Christmas Eve. And I kept winning. I was being like typical me, loud, gobby, mouthy, like being silly. And then he was like, "Oh, I'll beat you this time." And we all had a race. We all did the race, all of us, even the little 4-year-old. And I gave him a little head start. Not a lot of a head start. I gave him a little head start. And then I went, and my nephew Hector is rapid. I had no idea how fast he was. So he's gone off at the clappers. And I've given it I've looked across and I thought, oh my God, I'm losing. And I had to run faster than I thought I was going to have to. Pulled my quad muscle. Pulled my bloody quad muscle. Fell to the floor in agony. Because I got beat by a 10, 11-year-old, and I hurt my quad. So yeah, ego. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta like realize maybe you're not quite what you were. Identity. I'm surprised how quick you were able to let go the former you. I'm sure there are still parts of Stella from before, the worker to you are now the boss. Sorry, to who you are now. I've struggled. I've really struggled myself and letting go the former version of me because I don't want to let it go. And like you, and we're going to talk about it. We can't keep dancing around the subject why you're wearing a wig and how you lost your eyelashes. We will get into that in a second.
We're like Miss Piggy here.
You're great. I love the pink wig. I love it. It's very grease. I like it. Right, and then I struggled. I struggled with letting go. I've struggled letting go myself, and my career got taken from me. Too early. I didn't earn the millions of pounds. I didn't become the world champion that my talent and my hard work deserved, or so I thought, and so I think. So I'm impressed how you're able to let it go. How have you let it go? Because we all go through things in life. We all go through change, and a lot of times we go through change, and it's not up to us. We're forced into change. How have you been so quick to adapt and let go of the shackles that could have held you back?
There's a famous saying in the Shawshank Redemption that says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." And I think that has been perhaps what I've had in the back of my mind. I think I'll put it into context so people can understand. 10 years ago, I felt a lump in my right breast. I went straight to the doctor. Within 6 weeks, they'd taken a lumpectomy out, and I had chemo and radiotherapy. Didn't lose my hair because I wore a cold cap. Once that had happened, I was unstoppable in my career, in travelling, in making decisions such as giving up work for a year and travelling around and setting up a dance company. And then I felt I was institutionalized. So I went back to education. And then 2 years ago, I couldn't breathe very well. I ran up a flight of stairs, 10 flights of stairs at work, and got to the top, and I thought I was going to collapse. Carried on, went to the doctor. He gave me an inhaler, and I said, I haven't got asthma. And a few weeks later, I was taken into hospital and had, over a period of 3 months, like 12 litres of fluid drained from my pleural area, my lung. And basically, I was told that I had metastatic breast cancer. What metastatic means is that it's terminal, it's stage 4, and that the cells from my lumpectomy had, one cell perhaps had moved around and multiplied in not just my pleural area, but also in my liver. I was given an amazing drug. I didn't want to have my treatment here in Suffolk, and that's another story. I feel I was brought here for a reason. But I went to the Royal Marsden in Chelsea and under an amazing oncology team. And for 2 years, nothing changed. I was on some amazing treatment. There were tablet forms of chemo, targeted hormone therapy. And for 2 years, nothing changed. My breathing went back to normal. Life didn't change. In fact, I think I went from 100 miles an hour to 150 miles an hour. They gave me a bit of a break, changed a few things. They gave me a break, and I went to Bali for 4 weeks last summer. And when I came back from Bali, I had a few problems breathing. I went into hospital, and over the period of 10 days, I'd lost over a stone. I don't know that in kilos, about 5 kilos maybe. And the doctor came to me, the oncologist, and said, Stella, if you weren't on the treatment that we're going to give you, you would have 3 months to live, and you're not going back to work, and this is your last line of treatment. And to hear that, it was like a slap in the face. Holy shit. Sorry, I shouldn't swear, but I didn't think I was invincible. I didn't want to live forever. I knew I'm not scared of dying, but to be told that this is the last line of treatment was very frightening. And that changed. That absolutely changed my views and thinking. As you can imagine, that affected my mindset. I've never had counselling in my life before, or therapy. And I want to bring this up actually because it's quite important. This therapist came into the hospital ward. I was in a private room, which I'm not a private patient, but they put me in a private room, which was wonderful. And she said, on a scale of 0 to 10, Stella, how suicidal are you? And I looked at her and I said, I want the other end of the scale. I want 10 wanting to live. And I think that's an example of, even at that moment in time, I got busy living, if you know where I'm coming from. So that's where I'm at the moment. I do want to say I'm on an amazing American drug called Enhertu. It's costing me £8,622 every 3 weeks. Thank God I've got the money in the bank, and that's come from various sources of my own. However, what really worries me is that what happens to people that haven't got that financial money? Do they die? Do they just give up? So hopefully the NHS, Anthony, will bring the drug into the UK. It is on the cards, but I'm already talking to lots of American people that are on the drug, etc. And it's looking hopeful so far because my breathing's great and I feel invincible again. So something's working. So sorry, that was a very long way of explaining, but I think it's covered quite a few bridges.
Stella, I'm gonna tell you off, okay? Never apologize for telling your story. All we have
Yeah.
are our stories.
Mhm.
They're very important to us and they belong to us. So to never apologize for telling your story, because we could end the podcast right now and this, which we're not going to, of course, because there's so much more, I know. But I've got so much value from this. You are such an inspirational figure, a powerhouse of a woman, and I'm firstly so sorry you've gone through all that from the bottom of my heart. However, it seems like cancer picked the wrong person when I picked
Women
when I
that
picked on
say
you.
FUCK cancer. I've never done that. I hate all these groups. I love the fact that they raise money for cancer. I've left some money in the will for research, and I think it affects us in different ways. I think I'm fortunate, and I'm fortunate that I've got a lot of loving friends and, of course, family, and I'm financially secure. I don't need to worry about a mortgage or money, and that makes a big difference in life. And knowing that you're loved. I'm going to tell you a story, Anthony, because this relates to your family, your sisters who live here in Pakefield. I was brought here on a job, and I fell in love with where I live in Suffolk. It's the most easterly point of England.
You know, in the whole of the UK. Don't do us dirty,
Okay,
Stella.
yeah,
The
it is.
whole of the UK.
It's not Barbados or it's not a fabulous beach in Costa Rica, but it is a beautiful beach, and I'm a beach girl. I bought a little pink house 120 steps from the beach. The job didn't work out after a year, but I stayed here. And over the last 4 years, 5 years, I've built a yoga community in that there's a fabulous festival called the First Light Festival here, and I got heavily involved. And then every Sunday on the beach from 9 till 10 o'clock, I decided to teach yoga. It's something I've been doing for years. And I've built up a community. Sometimes there's 100 people on the beach, all ages, all sizes. And Leanne, Anthony, your sister, helps me out when I'm not. And she's actually branched and does a class, sunrise yoga on a Friday. And we've got a fabulous community of people here. On New Year's Day, I decided to do a beach yoga. And this is a point that I wanted to get across. And I turned my back to the group and looked out to the sea. And I thought, is this the last New Year's Day that I see? And that is when that's when it hits you. And those little moments is when you've got to be your strongest. And you look around the people around you and know how much love you have. And you walk back along the beach with the sun on your face and the wind in the wig. I can't say wind in my hair anymore, but the buzz cut's coming through. And yeah, and you kind of, it opens your eyes to be blessed. I think the one thing that people need to know is to be grateful and show gratitude every single day for what we do have, because there's a lot that don't have that.
Okay, so I'm sitting there and I'm so inspired by you're sitting there and you're smiling, got a beautiful smile. For those watching on YouTube, got a beautiful smile, got the pink hair. You look like Rizzo from Greece, right? It's like oh Frenchie. Is it Frenchie?
Yeah.
I think it's Frenchie. But you just look so happy and so positive, and you just mentioned gratitude, okay? But why? How are you grateful? How do you find that gratitude? Because life has given you, in many people's perspective, and this is all about perspective, right? I understand about perspective, and I'll talk about perspective a lot on this podcast, because when you change the way you think, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's a quote. I love that quote. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. But it's so hard because we get addicted to thinking in a certain way, and it's so hard to change that. How can you wake up and be looking outside, out to sea on New Year's Day, and be grateful when so many people would be pissed off and upset and bitter that may be your last New Year's Day, and Jenny and Mark and Steve and Bob and Penny, they've all got 5, 10, 20 more potentially. How do you feel grateful about that, not being pissed off and angry?
I think that comes back to my quote, get busy living or get busy dying, because this drug could work. When I say it could work, it could hold me steady for the next 1, 2, maybe 3 years. And so there's always hope. I will never be cured, but there is hope that this drug, NHER2, is particularly designed for my type of metastatic breast cancer. And you always think, I've always seen the glass half full. And I think that's what made me very different at work, because I always pushed forwards and took risks. And maybe, what am I supposed to do? Sit here in my little pink house with my pink wig and look out the window and be miserable? And, there are moments of pure despair, I can't lie, but they are moments, and they are real moments. I said to your sister the other week, actually, Anthony, the 2 things I haven't done recently is danced, like Naked in the Rain type of thing, that type of dance, and also laughed so much that I was crying. And then I was at the spa weekend with my sister, and something happened, and we were rolling about on the floor laughing, and that was so good. And it's those moments that you think, this is good. When all the girls show up on the beach and sing me happy birthday, or when my mother died, they all turned up with lanterns, and it's about community, it's about friends, and it's about seeing that sunrise and knowing that it's precious. And I think that's always been in my bones. I've always sought the sun and happiness and good food. I live a healthy lifestyle, and I try and preach it, but not push it down people's throats, if you know what I mean.
Hey everyone, and I hope you enjoyed that podcast, that special edition with a very wonderful lady. I've known Stella now for a while. She's a really close family friend. She's really, really close to my elder sister Leanne, who we mentioned in the podcast. And I had a great time chatting with Stella. I had a wonderful time talking to her, and obviously we record a podcast here, and it takes, depending on circumstances, it takes a matter of weeks or maybe a month or 2 to edit it and to get it churned out. A lot of work goes into this behind the scenes. And I recorded with Stella maybe 6 weeks, maybe 2 months before we launched the episode. And I texted her the day before launching, only, 6-7 weeks ago. I said, hey Stella, so how are you? Hope everything's going well. I heard from Leanne that, you're still fighting it so valiantly. And I said, your podcast is launching tomorrow. I'm really excited, etc., etc. And obviously I said how you are, and she responded saying, she said, I've got a big appointment tomorrow with the consultant. I said, how do you feel? And she was like, we'll see. And then I said, please let me know how you get on. Please sending all my love and support. And she texted the next day, and she said, there's nothing else that can be done. It's now a matter of weeks. I said, wow. Wow. I know with another family member who was diagnosed with cancer and had it for 15 years. I mean, even terminal cancer, and even though this day is coming, when it comes, it's always a shock, which is must be a weird thing that we as humans do to keep getting by and keep surviving. And she said, I've got 8 weeks. They say 8 weeks. She said she was calm. She felt serene, and she was in a really good place. When she told me the news about the 8 weeks, I said to her if she'd fancied coming on. Again, if she felt up to it physically and if she wanted to, come back on and do a part 2, because there's so much in Stella's life we didn't even scratch the surface of. And she said she'd love to. She wouldn't have to be short, mind you, because she gets tired now and she's got a sore throat, but she said she'd love to. and would find a time in the next week or two to do it. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to do a special life lessons of Stella, sort of a 59-year-old woman that lived life to the fullest. But even someone who lived life to the fullest, she did have some regrets and some things she'd like to have maybe changed, or maybe some things she'd rather focus more on throughout her life. I wanted to really highlight that. So we agreed to do it in the next couple of weeks. We had this chat. She said to me the doctor said she had 8 weeks, and 2 weeks later she had passed away. Just like that, within 2 weeks. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? Wow, this life we have is so fragile. It can be gone just like that. And yeah, I mean, in this condensed version, if you want to go back and listen to the full version, I really urge you to do that. Like, there's so much inspiration and hope there. And wow, when you know your days are numbered, you really start enjoying the days. And the thing is, all our days are numbered. We just don't know it. I mean, we know it. We just don't know when that day is going to come. And I think we have to really enjoy our lives. Every single moment we have to enjoy it to the most, because we never know when it's going to go. Stella, wherever you are, thank you, you wonderful, wonderful lady. I want to send my best, and everyone at Getting Back Up podcast, I want to send all our best and all our love to Stella's family and close friends that miss her so very much. What a wonderful, wonderful person. Guys, on that one, I'm going to leave it here, and please join in again next week for another super inspiring podcast. Until then, take care, and I'll see you next week.